overseas and around the world. And tonight we will show you the latest
5,
record-breaking
4,
crime statistics,
3,
the
2,
latest big crime
1.
carjackings. We'll also bring you the latest example of violent crime. It is now exploding among New York City's massive illegal immigrant population. Also tonight, Larry Kudlow will be here with an update on the economy. Spoiler alert, I wish I had better news. The numbers are not good. Needless to say, the coverage is not the same on other networks or on the pages of almost any major newspaper. Now, these are organizations filled with self-proclaimed journalists. They're not journalists. One big problem, journalism is dead. It is buried. This is something that I, accurately said back in 2007 or 8 when the press turned into giddy cheerleaders for the anointed one, Barack Obama. Now, for almost every newsroom in America, they're not news. They're opinion. They're talk show hosts. They're radical leftist talk hosts. With a few exceptions, journalism has now been replaced by liberal, radical activism. Journalists are far-left hacks, some of them flirting right on the borderline with communism. There is no fidelity to the truth whatsoever. They will lie. They will censor. They will obfuscate the truth, all as a means to an end. Their goal is political power, a left-wing utopia where dissent no longer exists. But you don't have to take my word for it. One senior editor at NPR courageously now just coming clean in an op-ed entitled, quote, "I've been at NPR for 25 years. Here's how we lost Americans' trust." He then went on to blast his own organization for morphing from a left-leaning news operation into an extreme far-left political machine focused on, quote, efforts to damage or topple Donald Trump's presidency. He found that the taxpayer-funded national radio station employed, quote, 87 registered Democrats working in editorial positions. How many Republicans? 0. He was critical of NPR's obsession over the Russia hoax and its decision to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story. Quote, "The laptop was newsworthy, but the timeless journalistic instinct of following a hot story lead was being squelched during a meeting with colleagues. I listened as one of NPR's best and most fair-minded journalists said it was good we weren't following the laptop story. Why? Because it could help Donald Trump." Even for a self-described Subaru-driving, Sarah Lawrence-educated, 25-year NPR employee, even that went too far. Now, of course, to no one else at NPR, they don't seem to care. Their operation pretty much mirrors almost every other newsroom in America. They're not newsrooms. For them, Biden is little more than a spineless, brainless vessel who can be used to implement their radical vision for America. They might even actually see Joe Biden's intellectual shortcomings and his cognitive decline as a positive thing because it then makes it easier to control him. In contrast, they hate Donald Trump. They're not shy about it. They hate the MAGA movement. And more than anything else, they have zero influence over Donald Trump. He deeply offends their virtuous sensibilities. He represents a real threat to America's bloated partisan bureaucracy known as the deep state. He shatters illusions. He's iconoclastic in that way. So no matter how spectacularly Joe Biden is failing as president, he's going to get a free pass and extremely favorable coverage, all while Donald Trump gets dragged through the mud. And here is but the latest example. Take a look.
What, in your view, constitutes the primary threat?
Attention, Helldivers 2 players. Easily capture and share your gaming highlights with Outplayed. Outplayed is simple and powerful. It runs in the background, automatically capturing your epic plays without any manual effort.
To freedom and democracy at home.
Seriously, Donald Trump uses phrases like you're going to eviscerate the Constitution, you're going to be a dictator on day one.
Joe Biden is lying. Donald Trump did not say any of those things. Trump also didn't direct his Department of Justice to prosecute his political opponents. That was Joe Biden, the president of this country. Joe Biden is now using America's system of justice as a political weapon. The president is now also likely defying a Supreme Court ruling on, quote, student loan forgiveness just prior to an election. Why? He wants to buy votes before the courts have yet another chance to step in and stop him for a second time. Now, the president also reportedly directed the federal government, with the help of big tech, to censor social media posts they don't like. The president also eliminated our southern border. He's not enforcing the laws of this country, and he's aided and abetted in the law-breaking, encouraging over 10 million unvetted Joe Biden illegal immigrants into the country, many of whom are breaking our laws, many from our top geopolitical foes. But Donald Trump is the threat to democracy? No, I would say the threat at the border with people from Iran and Syria, Afghanistan and Egypt and Russia and China, they're probably a bigger threat to our democracy. Notice that the biased reporter didn't bring up any of these issues during Joe's answer. Just sat there in silence, happily providing Joe Biden with a platform to smear Trump. In fact, outside of this network, few of America's abusively biased and corrupt reporters ever challenged Joe Biden or call him out for his blatant lies. They let him spend the entire 2020 election hiding in his basement. And for example, yesterday we got another big whopper. Take a look.
I, like an awful lot of people in this audience, it was the first for my family to go to college and watch my dad struggle to help me get there and get all the kids there, and it wasn't easy.
Joe Biden was not the first one in his family to go to college. His father attended the very prestigious Johns Hopkins University, and Biden is even on tape bragging about his grandfather, who played football at Santa Clara. Take a look.
Being raised by a grandpa who went to Santa Clara back in the days when Irish in Northeast Pennsylvania didn't very much get a chance to go to college. He was an All-American football player at Santa Clara, and he came back as a newspaper guy on the business side.
In 1987, the New York Times, they brutalized Biden over this very same lie, but don't expect a similar level of journalism today. The fact-checkers have taken a sabbatical for the last 3 years as Biden lies pretty much with impunity. He lied about leaving Americans behind in Afghanistan. He lied about his own son dying in Iraq. He didn't die in Iraq. He lied about his never meeting with his son or brother or anybody for that matter, their foreign business deals, or ever had any discussions with any of them. He lied about his role in the civil rights movement. He lied about getting arrested in South Africa. He lied about his involvement with Hunter's art career. He lied about the border being closed and the border being secure. He lied about inflation being transitory. He lied about his interview with the special counsel, Robert Hur. He lied about Trump's position on abortion. He currently lies about the national debt and deficit going down. And he lied when he promised to support Israel, which is America's closest ally in the Middle East. No. In order to win back the radical left-wing voters that have been running from him, Biden has turned his back on Israel, as literally putting his own blind personal political ambition above standing up against radical Islamic terrorists that attacked Israel, killing many and taking others prisoner. You know, Joe is now desperately trying to appease, well, people like this. He wants their vote. Take a look.
Gaza has shown the entire world why these protests are so anti-America. Because it's the United States government that provides the funds for all of the atrocities that we just heard about.
That video, chants of death to America, death to Israel, coming from Dearborn, Michigan, got very little coverage outside of this network. And it wasn't the first time that we have heard calls for Israel to be annihilated from this group, but the media mob doesn't want it to be an issue, especially when Biden is begging for their support. They would never let the hatred for America get in the way of winning a good election and beating Donald Trump any way they can. So as always, the media mob, they will do whatever it's going to take to cover for Joe Biden, and yet they still claim to be journalists. They are not. They are radical, left-wing talk show hosts pretending to be journalists. It is dishonest, It's insulting, and you, the American people, most of you watching this network know better.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
So you think you know Wix, do you really?
TurboTax Live, full service, takes taxes.
Harry Truman called the vice presidency about as useful as a cow's fifth teat. Nelson Rockefeller says the vice president was just standby equipment. Walter Mondale called the job the fire hydrant of the nation. But it wasn't what the vice president did in office, it was what they did to get in there. When JFK desperately needed the Southern vote, it was Lyndon Johnson who helped carry it home. When Jimmy Carter, a long-shot, one-term Georgia governor, needed the backing of the Washington establishment, he picked Walter Mondale, who came with decades-long experience under his belt. And when black freshman Senator Barack Obama needed a white guy familiar with foreign policy, he tapped Joe Biden. But now, Joe Biden's the one who needs help.
We are holding their election in the palm of our hands, and they're not listening.
We have no trust in Joe Biden.
President Biden's campaign has touted his success on key issues affecting young voters, including student loan forgiveness, lowering unemployment, and tackling inflation. Still, though,
I don't feel it. People may be employed, but can they survive off of it?
What could President Biden do to change your mind as far as how you'll vote in November?
Call for a permanent ceasefire.
If he doesn't get elected, that is his fault. That's not our fault. That's not the black voters here. That's not X, Y, and Z. No, it's on him.
But it was never supposed to be on Joe Biden. Kamala Harris was supposed to help win Biden the young and black vote. At least that's what Biden thought when he picked her. But he's sleeping until noon while his base collapses. Everyone's looking around and thinking, where's Kamala? She's not looking for root causes at the border, and we know she's not building electric car charging stations. Johnny gets it.
You cannot escape!
I know she's a black woman.
I don't know who that is.
How's Kamala doing?
Kamala?
Harris, dude. How proud are you of Kamala Harris?
You cannot escape!
All she does is laugh.
What has she done for my community?
Kamala Harris loves her electric buses.
We don't need that, Kamala.
She loves a lot of things. She don't love her people.
So where is she? Well, after they pulled her off the college tour because of Hamas protesters, we found her hanging out with suburban white women from Bravo.
Let's dip into a little workplace gossip, if you will.
Okay.
Who are your favorite coworkers in the cabinet? Who do you have the most fun with?
Well, I mean, the person that I definitely have the most fun with is the president. He's fantastic. He can be very serious, obviously, but he's also got an incredible sense of humor.
Biden? An incredible sense of humor? That's what girls say about guys who aren't good looking. He makes me laugh. Right, Greg? You want some more gossip?
I have a very embarrassing story to share about the president. I'm in Italy with my family, and we're at a little cafe on the island of Capri. And I see this man walk by, and as he starts to walk by, I was like, I know him. Oh my God. And I scream at the top of my lungs, like it's Paul McCartney, and I am like, Joe Biden! Full-blown psycho
that's
scream.
fantastic.
He turns around, winks at me, and waves. When I saw Joe Biden, I mean, I totally fangirled.
Oh my God, I'm gonna tell him about this, and I'm gonna say, you know that lady
screaming
in
like
Capri?
Biden's Paul McCartney now. It's like Beatlemania when he walks by. I've covered Biden at Fox for 20 years. I've never seen a video of women screaming when he walks by, ever. But nobody likes talking about their boss. Kamala wanted to talk about herself. So the ladies played a little game, an icebreaker. It's called Had It or Hit It.
Had it or hit it, astrology.
Hit it. You know, so I'm a Libra. My husband is a Libra. And it's so funny. He'll talk about the fact that it's the Libra in us where we will sit on the couch in front of the TV with the switcher for like 45 minutes debating which Netflix show should we start streaming. And then by the time we're done, we're ready to go to bed.
Right. Kamala doesn't watch Netflix. She watches The Five. She saw us do a segment on this.
It takes longer than the movie to find the movie, and it's like after a while, it's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? Why can't this be better? And they've tried to fix it, but I get so angry when I'm there, looking at Netflix, looking at Amazon, looking at Paramount, all is lined up like this.
Kamala's stealing our stuff.
Any good shows you've watched?
Oh, you know what I've been watching recently is the morning show.
Oh, that's so dope.
Now, in case you're wondering what the morning show is, Brian Stelter produced it.
You're the guy with the gun, the person who would do anything to protect the ones you love. But did you know you could go to jail for simply doing the right thing to keep your family safe? Don't end up behind bars because you didn't know what would happen after a self-defense incident. And that's why the USCCA...
Kamala watches shows about January 6th in her free time. Had It or Hit It went on.
Had it or hit it, people taking their shoes off on airplanes.
Oh God, had it completely. It's
terrible.
Awful. And then if they take their shoes off and then cross their legs so that their foot is just dangling right in front of you. It's just, and especially if they're sockless.
The sockless people in an airport, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, you might have the FAA look
We'll
into
look
that.
into that
Yes.
too. Yeah,
I think
we'll look into
these
that
are
too.
the issues that could bring out
We
some
need a
niche
Department of Grievances.
We could run it.
We have a lot of federal agencies, but not that one.
Department of Grievances. We love that idea. But when's the last time Kamala's flown commercial? She has Air Force Two. She's ripping off the Five again.
Worst dude on the plane is the guy who takes his shoes off and then shoves his hairy foot between the seats, and it's on your armrest. And he hasn't trimmed his toenails.
I don't want anybody to take their shoes off on the plane.
Kamala has more grievances than just bare feet on airplanes. Her job.
And I'm going to play my little violin. Okay. I don't get to text anymore. I have all these things on my phone that prevent, for the sake of security.
Yes.
But I used to love our family group texts. Like when we would, it was everything. Like when Wordle first came out. Did you get the word?
Yes,
or
that's a
when,
good one.
right? It was just, it was so good.
I thought Al Gore was the most boring vice president. Wordle, Netflix, airplane grievances. She's a cliche. Actually, there is one thing unique about her.
I am sure that I'm the first vice president to, in front of the press, use the word uterus. And then I didn't stop there. I said the F word, fibroids.
Are you sure Dick Cheney didn't say uterus? Even once? We're checking. But if Kamala wants that title, she can have it. Weird flex, though. Do you want to keep playing? Let's.
Had it or hit it, Donald Trump
Totally had it.
And right now, Donald Trump is telling us that he wants to be a dictator.
There is no dog whistle. It is like a gigantic bark.
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say this genuinely could be the last democratic election we ever have.
You're right. Democracy, extraordinarily fragile. It's only as strong as our willingness to fight for it.
Well, I tell you what, Pumps and I are scrappy and loud.
Don't you feel like you've gotten to know Kamala in a way that you didn't before? Good. Because a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris. If Joe's reelected, he's not making it another 4 years. Will the suburban white women get scrappy and put Kamala in the White House? Well, if it goes anything like it did with the black and youth vote, they've had it. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
She's back. Ousted Chicago mayor and TikTok dance sensation Lori Lightfoot put years of experience on how to destroy a city to good use by investigating America's worst mayor, her successor, right? Lightfoot is getting paid $400 an hour by the Illinois village of Dolton to probe their Democrat mayor, Tiffany Henyard. Tiffany is allegedly a cartoon character of corruption, accused of embezzling public money, taking lavish trips at public expense, all while making nearly 300 G's when the town is $5 million in the red. Lori vows to get to the bottom of it.
I will do my utmost if this motion is passed to make sure that I serve you with integrity. The residents of Dalton deserve nothing less than a government that is fully accountable, responsive, transparent, and effective stewards of your precious tax dollars.
You know, of course, there's the logic. It takes one to know one. But Jesse, this is the real story. The most incompetent leftist still has a safety net, right? You know, Brian Stelter gets fired from CNN. He gets a job at Harvard to keep him afloat until he finds something else at Harvey's. Lightfoot finds this job investigating the worst mayor ever after she was the worst mayor. There is no safety net for you, Jesse. You lose this job.
There's not?
No.
You mean I'm out on a live wire right now?
News Now wouldn't even take you.
What's that?
Well, I don't know. I just popped into my head.
I don't want to say anything about it. I see this as if you know what you want for a result. You hire a firm or you hire someone to do an investigation. I'm using a lot of these air quotes.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? You do an investigation. It's been predetermined. And Lori will, I'm sure, do whatever she's been told to do, which is probably keep this woman in office.
Disagree.
I have to say.
Disagree?
Totally disagree.
She's going to get the axe?
Nope. Absolutely.
Well, with analysis like that, maybe I will be leaving your team.
I gotta say, I don't like Jesse. All right, Jessica, I suppose she has expertise in assessing corruption. She practically invented it. Are you going to defend her with your contrary perspective?
Yeah, but it seems like all the ladies at the table want to do that, so I'll make it quick. I don't think that, she didn't do a good job, democracy worked, and voted her out, and she's entitled to have a career after that. This also is a gig that's not going to last that long. The max on it is $30,000 when she has to submit a report, and we should be applauding the fact that the people of Chicago, whatever you think of Brandon Johnson versus Paul Vallis, they did what they needed to do. They voted someone out they thought was ineffective, and she has a right to live and make money now.
But, Judge, it's like hiring Sam Bankman-Fried to do your taxes.
Let me tell you why it's a good hire. Number one, it's a prophylactic, okay?
Watch your mouth.
Okay, thank you. Watch your mouth.
This is a family
show. Prophylactic, because then Henyard, who is the mayor, who should be, I don't know, I think the FBI should get involved in investigating, but what do I know? Lori Lightfoot had 100 times the number of people and made less money. This woman is the mayor of a city of 20,000 people and makes $300,000. Lori Lightfoot had $2.6 million, made $216,000. But here's the problem. this woman hires a sex offender to be in charge of code enforcement, which means, by the way, he spent 12 years in prison. We're not talking about a wanted name only. Code enforcement has an obligation to go into your house. That's how many brains this mayor has. And what better place to put him? And she's got professional hair, makeup, all kinds of security going with her. She's a mayor of a small town. She is using the money, and that's why when Lori says, I'm going to be the effective steward of your precious tax dollars, she made a deal ahead of time, and she's going to nail her.
But you're saying you be a mayor somewhere, you get free hair and makeup and security?
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, maybe there is a place for me.
Yeah, Danny, you said in the break that never trust anybody named Tiffany.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, except for the one who sang in the malls, because I loved her.
Yeah, R.I.P.
No, she's in California. I looked that up, by the way.
Sorry, Tiffany.
First of all, the evidence is already out there about Tiffany Hinder. Like, if you see, like, and the people who are most mad are black women in the community saying this is outrageous. Lori Lightfoot, whether you agree with her or not, she has credibility in the community. I think she'll do a very good job. And plus,
This guy will
I know
do everything
$400
except
is a lot
take it
compared to
correctly.
what $400 an hour compared to what most people make. But that's actually, in these types of investigations, I'm going to tell you, it's about a third of what these lawyers are getting. So if you think you want to go to law school, there you go.
Dana Perino says $400 an hour is normal.
Not what I
Just clip that,
Clip that, yeah.
clip that, and send it everywhere. No, kidding. Joking. Oh, good, Asia.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling.
We both know that you need to complete your continuing ed. How do I know that? Because most agents wait until the last minute. So if your real estate license is going to expire soon, I have the perfect state-approved course for you.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sonny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss the solar eclipse.
I know, right? I mean, I have to say, Karen Dupiche, our wonderful, wonderful makeup artist, when the earthquake was happening, she put her coat on, and she was like, Jesus is coming. I'm out. I'm out. I'm leaving. We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Cicadas.
Although I love
for the
the
first time in, like,
No.
100 years.
No.
For the first time in many, many years.
No. Every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe, you know, maybe you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, you know, either climate change exists
That's more
or
the
something
point.
is really
Something
going
is
on.
returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. They can't. I don't think
It happens, and the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Amazing. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years. They're turning on me. So that makes Sonny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show has? 31.
31 Emmys?
This show has 31. I mean, I'd hate to see the conversations that don't make headlines. What?
And we don't have a single
Not a
Emmy.
single
We don't have
one.
what does that tell you about the Emmys, Kat? Yes, thank you, Mr. Boo.
10,000 years.
Give that man a free cup of water. Charlie, are these women bad for women?
they're bad for more than just women. The whole discussion about climate change drives me nuts because it does not exist, but the only reason I've come to love it is because of the characters that have gotten themselves involved. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago when I was on the show, we were talking about the snowboarder who testified before Congress. Remember, he was like the guy who was like, oh, bro, like I think that there's climate change. And he had no idea what he was talking about. That was great. And then Greta Thunberg, who I have grown to be very fond of because she continually makes a mockery of herself. She was arrested not once but twice this past weekend. And now Sunny Hostin throwing her hat in the ring, claiming that these naturally recurring events such as earthquakes, which, by the way, I did my research, the first one was in 1831 BC, saying that they stem from climate change or something.
Yeah.
And I know she was just dying when she said something. She wanted to say racism. Dying to say that.
Yeah, it was either going to be racism or Trump, but then she realized, what if Trump wasn't born then?
Yeah. Also, what a way to cover your bases.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something.
Yeah. Jamie, you do that a lot with punchlines.
Yeah.
What's your problem? What a sensitive audience tonight.
And it's true.
Jamie.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on The View?
I want to know too, Jamie. What are you?
Why are you being so quiet about this?
Get it out, young man. I'm glad you guys asked. I hate that show so much, and Kat is so right. Like, what is the show prep? They just go, go! Is that the pre-show? Like, what was that? I didn't realize until Kat started talking that all happened on the air.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a behind-the-scenes disaster.
A blooper.
Yeah, that was crazy. And we can disagree, Greg. You say cicada, I say cicada. We can disagree. But I feel like if the world ends, first of all, I'll have saved the exact correct amount of money. With all due respect, I hate the solar eclipse. I went from New York City to Rochester, New York this weekend to do a gig. My flight got canceled. Forgot about the eclipse. And I looked up. There's no other flights.
Yeah.
The train is sold out for people going to see this eclipse. And people want to see the eclipse so bad. All the flights to Buffalo were sold out. Flights to Syracuse. That's how bad people want to see the eclipse. They went to Syracuse.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was. And I was so annoyed by the whole thing, and the world's not ending, and it's not even that big a deal. And like, I was in the green room, I was on the show last week, and I was talking to Tyrus backstage, and he like stood up in front of this lamp, and I was like, that's kind of it.
You know, Cleveland finally had a good view of something.
Yeah.